Now at 11, a pushback to local protests following Thursday's Border Patrol shooting.
We have to bring the temperature down, because if we don't, you're seeing what's happening right now in society.
Plus, how some in Salem are banding together to support those impacted by immigration detainments.
There's a way to resist some of the awful things that we think are happening.
And how people in Portland are showing support for protesters thousands of miles away in Iran.
The least we could do, that we're here in a free country, is to come out so they know that we are united with them.
Thanks so much for joining us here at 11. I'm John Adams. Our top story tonight is the ongoing fallout from Thursday's shooting by a Border Patrol agent that left 2 people hurt. It happened during a traffic stop in Northeast Portland. Friday, Portland police confirmed the Department of Homeland Security's claim that the 2 shot have ties to a Venezuelan transnational gang. But it followed a deadly shooting in Minnesota, which amplified calls for ICE and other immigration authorities to leave the Rose City while the investigations play out. In the wake of the shooting, state Republicans say they are alarmed by the rhetoric they've seen from elected leaders. They held a press conference this morning to share their thoughts on the incident. Jay Coulter has the story from Salem.
The overarching message from some state Republicans today is that they want to see the temperature turned down when it comes to federal law enforcement, and say that Democratic leadership is doing more harm than good with their reactions.
It is deeply irresponsible for elected officials to politicize an active investigation.
House Minority Leader Lucetta Elmer, joined by a handful of her colleagues, delivered a Republican response to the Border Patrol shooting in Portland last week.
What Oregonians saw over the last 72 hours was not restraint. They saw immediate conclusions, inflammatory rhetoric, and public statements made before all the facts were known.
Senate Minority Leader Bruce Starr says this wasn't a random interaction.
According to federal authorities, the incident involved a targeted law enforcement operation focused on individuals connected to a violent transnational criminal organization.
This unlike the situation in Minneapolis, but the timing made for enhanced emotions. On Saturday, Democratic Congresswoman Maxine Dexter said she wanted to take action against DHS, including by drafting articles of impeachment against Secretary Kristi Noem.
We also are trying to form a coalition of congressional members who are willing to withhold appropriations for the Department of Homeland Security.
State Representative Alex Scarlato says rhetoric like this makes things worse.
The temperature might have been significantly higher because of what happened in Minneapolis, but these are elected leaders statewide. These aren't just random people that are giving these press conferences. They're raising the temperature at the worst possible time after what happened in Minneapolis. It should be more of a reason for them to take pause and let the facts come out, instead of just jumping on the bandwagon of throwing law enforcement under the bus.
State Representative Jeff Helfrich says his time with the Portland Police Bureau informs his opinion on this.
Being a frontline officer or a supervisor there, every time politicians came in and raised the rhetoric up and talked about it, that caused the problems.
Jay Coulter, KGW News.
And we reached out to Governor Tina Kotek and Mayor Keith Wilson's offices for comment, but did not get a response to these accusations. Several groups came together in Salem to help out those affected by the Trump administration's immigration crackdown. The Unitarian Universalist Congregation hosted a benefit concert and silent auction today. Organizers tell us several people have reached out wanting to financially support families who may have had a loved one detained or deported recently, as well as businesses who have lost income because their customers are staying home out of fear.
There might be no money coming into a family if your main breadwinner just was whisked off to a detention center. So there's a family left wondering what to do. And if they need legal help, they might have legal fees on top of that.
They haven't shared specific numbers yet, but when we stopped by earlier, they had already raised thousands of dollars. We're hearing from attorneys with Innovation Law Lab after they asked a federal court to stop ICE agents from making arrests in Oregon without a warrant. Since October, attorneys say ICE has launched operations across the state, leading to an almost 8,000% spike in immigration arrests since 2024. Immigration attorneys say ICE is targeting areas with high Latino populations and arresting people without warrants.
The law requires ICE to have probable cause before detaining someone and taking away their liberty. And in the context of the statute, that also requires a warrant. That's an appropriate check on the power that they're exercising to take people's liberty. And we're seeing this really rampantly, especially with the increased enforcement activity since October.
Among the plaintiffs is Hillsborough grandfather Victor Cruz, who ICE arrested despite having a work authorization and a pending visa. His family says he was arrested in a case of mistaken identity as federal agents were looking for another man by the same name who had a criminal history. Stay with KGW for all updates surrounding the Border Patrol shooting and the resulting demonstrations and legal challenges. You can stream us on your own time with our free KGW Plus app. All right, time to talk weather. We really didn't get a chance to see the clouds melt away today, but don't worry. We're going to be seeing a whole lot of sunshine over the next several days. Joe Ranieri, meteorologist Joe Ranieri is joining us now. Joe, is it true we could go another entire week without measurable amounts of rain out there?
Yeah, a lot of models are in agreement with this. I know it's wild. I mean, this is the time of year where we could see a chance for some snow, maybe a wintry mix, and of course some rain. Yeah, none of that is on the forecast, or I should say in the forecast the next few days. Parts of the northern Oregon coast could see a little bit of some light precipitation over the next few days. If we see anything, it's going to be just right around a little more than trace amounts. This model is taking us out into Friday, so you get the idea. We're going to be bone dry over the next few days. It will be cold overnight, but we stay dry tonight, and basically a lot of models are showing we won't see a drop of rain until potentially the early, maybe the middle part of next week. So staying dry the next week and beyond. And we also have that air stagnation advisory until Friday morning. We need that rain to wash out some of that poor quality of air. And well, it's not going to happen because we're not going to have any rain, unfortunately. We're going to be looking at very mild conditions. Look at that daytime high tomorrow. That's right around the low 50s. There will be areas of morning clouds, John, but by the afternoon, we'll be seeing a lot of sunshine, and that sunset is inching closer and closer to 5 o'clock. I'll talk more about your detailed forecast and talk about more about the mild conditions in just a few minutes.
All right, Joe, thanks so much. Developing in Southwest Washington, the Pacific County Sheriff's Office confirmed tonight they've arrested the fire chief of Ilwaco following an investigation into child sex crimes. Deputies conducted a search warrant Friday at the home in the area of Joe Johns Road and K Lane following reports of child molestation and rape. That's in Ocean Park north of Ilwaco. After the search, deputies arrested Jeffrey Archer. He's expected to make his first court appearance tomorrow. New tonight, one person is dead and several others are displaced after a fire at an apartment complex in Tillamook. It happened sometime after noon today at the Trask River Apartments. First responders found the body of the victim during their response. The investigation is ongoing, but investigators don't believe the death is suspicious. 12 people in total needed emergency housing assistance. And a health alert for a South Salem neighborhood. There's a boil water order in place due to a loss of water pressure. This is a map of the area under notice off of Davis Road South and Skyline Road. The city says a power outage triggered a shutdown at the area water pump station. They should get test results back early tomorrow, but in the meantime, boil tap water for at least 1 minute before drinking it or using it for food. U.S. groups say hundreds of Iranians have been killed since anti-government protests broke out 2 weeks ago. Thousands more have been arrested as people call for the overthrow of the regime that has ruled for decades. This afternoon, Iranians living in the Portland metro met at Pioneer Square to show their support for the protesters. Take a look.
What we want! Regime change! What we want! Regime change!
Iranians in the Portland metro cheered and waved flags at Pioneer Square on Sunday afternoon, uplifting Iranians pushing back against their government.
We want the current government, this extremist government, to leave Iran, to free the people.
Sarah Huranpay moved to the Portland metro from Iran in the 1980s. Despite uprisings in the past, Huranpay hopes this is the time the current government falls.
This is the third uprising we've had since 2009, and we have a good feeling that this is going to be it.
Despite a near total internet blackout in Iran and a government crackdown, Thousands of protesters are holding on and getting more aggressive, setting fires, burning government buildings. Even a mosque has gone up in flames. Protesters claim to have taken over parts of Tehran, at least temporarily. They're demanding not reform, but the full overthrow of the Islamic revolutionary government in power since 1979. President Trump has vowed to defend the protesters.
This is something pretty incredible that's happening in Iran. It's an amazing thing to watch. They've done a bad job. They've treated their people very badly, and now they're being paid back.
But Huranpay says while Iranians want support, they believe it's their duty to fight for freedom on their own.
I hope that the whole world, including this government, supports the Iranian people. But most of the Iranian people have said over the years, we want to do it ourselves. We want to be the ones that free our own country. We don't want people to get involved. We want to do it. And if everyone can support us, we would love that.
Check this out. It was a chance to keep the New Year's celebration going on a bit longer. Portland Japanese Garden held a final day of festivities today to ring in the Japanese New Year. It included family-friendly activities like a holiday scavenger hunt and cultural lion dance performances.
It's the time when people get together, especially with their families and friends, spend some leisurely time like relaxing and eating great food for New Year's. So it's a big celebration at the beginning of the year. And so we're very happy to have our community members join us to celebrate with us.
And while they like to start the new year off big, the garden holds multiple large festivals throughout the year.